everyone, let's talk about a concept. This is a concept that's going to come back to us many times during the semester, okay? So I want you guys to kind of look at what I have here. You'll notice a couple of tags that we should be somewhat familiar with now. It's including a paragraph tag, there's some headings, and then some text formatting tags. And I'm just going to preview it in a browser. Okay, and you'll notice that some tags, when you apply them, they seem to take up the entire space, or as soon as you apply them, the next element automatically is forced to a new line. And then some don't. Some seem to just appear in this whatever paragraph or line that you applied them to. Okay, and the answer is, in terms of syntax or the rules of a written language, there are basically two types of HTML tags. What are called inline tags and what are called block tags. Okay, inline tags are HTML tags that display in a line. Okay, so what I mean by that is, well, let's go down here and zoom in a little bit. And you can see I have the strong tag. The strong tag is an inline element. I have the EM tag, the emphasis element, or the italic, the U element, or the underline. And then I have the small. Okay. And if I save and I refresh, these are called inline elements because they literally display in a line. They just, they start being displayed in the browser one after the other, starting on the left and just kind of displaying until there's no more space in the line, essentially. Okay. The other major type of tag is what's referred to as a block tag. Block tags take up a block of space. Okay. Or in other words, they take up the space horizontally from the left side of the parent tag to the right side of the parent tag. Okay. So, a P tag or a paragraph tag is what we call a block tag. What it means is that this is one block, and two blocks can never be next to each other horizontally. Okay, so unlike here where I have a strong tag next to a EM tag here, this is one block tag, and this block tag can never be in the same horizontal line as another block tag. Block tags by default display vertically. Okay. The other thing about block tags is it doesn't matter how much content is inside of it, it always will take up the entire block of space starting on the left side of the element all the way to the right. Now in this case it's based on the parent. I don't want to get too deep into that, but essentially in this case the parent is the page, like the body tag. So it's going to go all the way from the left side of the page all the way to the right side of the page. Okay. The way you can kind of tell this is if I right click here on this strong tag and I go to inspect and I highlight it, see I'm highlighting it here in this elements. See how it's highlighting just that one part of the line. It highlights the text, but it doesn't go all the way to the edge, right? Because it's just that one space. Now compare and contrast that with this P tag, okay? Even though the P tag in terms of the text ends here, which is only about like a quarter or a third of the way through the page, if I highlight it, you can see that it takes up the space all the way to here, all the way to the right side, okay? So block elements, regardless of how much content is inside of it, will always take up the entire horizontal space, okay? The same for headings like this H2 or this H6 here. So that's the difference between inline and block. Now you might go, well, how am I supposed to know, what HTML tag is what? The answer is it helps to just kind of have a reference source. So I actually gave you guys a reference source. So if you go under the module, you get a handy dandy page that lists all. This is all from Mozilla, the people who make Firefox. All right, so the first one, this is an inline element, and it literally lists every single every single tag that counts as an inline. So ones we've talked about today would be like the big tag or the EM tag, S tag, which is the strike through, okay, U tag, things like that, okay. Over in the block elements, things like this lists all of the block tags. Now, a lot of these we haven't talked about yet, but we will. And we'll come back to this idea. We're going to come back to the idea of inline versus block quite often, actually. So these, headings count as block elements. P tags are block elements or paragraphs, okay. So that's just, when next time you're looking at a tag and you're wondering why, so if I make another, let's say, P tag, it's going to automatically form its own new line because two block elements can never be horizontally in the same line. So this does not display here, it displays here. But if I do something like make part of this paragraph bold, this will not form a new line for the word new because this is an inline. Inlines do not form new lines or new spaces. They just take the element, apply it in wherever it is currently. So if I go here and I refresh, you can see that doesn't force this to go to a new line. Okay. All right, last thing we're going to talk about today is, so we talked about text formatting, right? We talked about bold and italic, underline, things like that. Let's talk about lists, okay? Lists is when you list things. And there's two major types of lists, okay? There's what are called unordered lists, and there's what are called ordered lists, okay? An unordered list is a list where it doesn't matter which item comes first and which item comes second. Okay, sometimes this is referred to as a grocery list, because when you go to a grocery store, you list the things you want to get, but it doesn't really technically matter, which one you get first and which one you get second, as long as you get all the things that you want. So let's say I'm going to go to the grocery store after I film this, and I'm going to buy a couple things. I'm going to buy some carrots, maybe some chicken, cabbage. I can only buy things that start with C, cereal, right? And then I could take all of these and have them as an unordered list, okay? This is an unordered list or a bulleted list. It doesn't really matter which one comes first. If I take cereal and I make that one first, it's not going to change anything, okay? It doesn't change the meaning of the rest of the items here, okay? The other type of list we can have is what's called an ordered list. An ordered list is a procedural list. It goes, first, second, third, fourth, fifth. Now, think about like giving instructions to someone. Do this first, do this second, do this third, okay? So let's say I was going to list everything that I've done today up till me recording this. I may say something like, woke up, drank coffee, very, very important, that last step there. Read the newspaper, taught DIGM 15 via video recording. Okay. Now, in this case, it's unlike, say, the unordered. It actually does matter the order that I did things in. So rather than having it as a bulleted list, it might look something like this, where it's like 1, 2, 3, 4. Or if I was doing this, in a thing like Microsoft Word, it might be something like A, B, C, D, something like that. And the reason why I say that it matters is, right now I'm waking up, drinking coffee, reading the newspaper. If I suddenly change this to be like this, right? Well, this doesn't work anymore because now I'm reading the newspaper before I even wake up. That's pretty impressive, but even I'm not able to do that. So, you know, we have our particular order to things. We can't just like move things around. You know, you have to be careful when you reorder things. In HTML, we can do that. So here, this is exercise 8. Let's just take a moment to look at what we have here. We just have a page. This is your basic page setup, you know, HTML head title, body, you know, that sort of stuff. And I have some text about items, and if I preview it, this is what it looks like. And I want to take these food items here and I want to put them into an unordered list. Okay, so I want to create an unordered list, or an UL. So I'm going to make an unordered list. And when you make an unordered list, you really have to think of it kind of like if I had a piece of paper and I was like writing things on it. The UL is like the piece of paper. It's not even the things I write. It's literally just holding the thing, holding the notes that I make. Okay, so that's kind of what we're doing here. So now each item in my unordered list is going to be a list item, or an LI. LI for list item. Now notice that the list items are children of the list. So this is the parent, this is the children. Don't worry if it's not making 100% sense yet. We'll be practicing this over the next couple weeks. Plenty of practice, I promise you. All right. And I'm actually just going to beautify this to make it look nicer. So let's go to View, Command Palette, and I'm going to type in beautify. I'm going to choose the option that says beautify file. Okay. Let's save. Let's go back. And you can see that even though I never put it here in the page itself, it's actually adding in those bullets for me. Okay. All right, down here, this is going to be a procedural step-by-step instruction on how to make a peanut butter sandwich. Ever so important. Okay. So because this is procedural, there's order to it. 1, 2, 3, 4, you know, that sort of thing. So I want this to be an ordered list or an OL. OL for ordered list. All right, so once again, this OL is kind of like the piece of paper. It's not even like the list, it's like the thing that holds the list. Okay. And then what I want to do is each one of my steps is going to become an LI, or a list item. Even though there are two different types of lists, they both accept list items. So each one of my steps is going to go inside of a list item. Make sure you open and close them appropriately. Open tag, closing tag for my list item. Okay. Once again, I'm just going to beautify this to make it look nice. View, Command Palette, and I'm just going to type in beautify, and select beautify file. You can see it indents everything there nicely for me. I'm going to save and refresh, and then there you go. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it automatically numbered it for me, which is great. Okay. What's nice about this is that at any point, I can always go back and just kind of add things to either list. So if I go back and I decide to add something to my list, like carrots, I go back, refresh, and you can see it just added yet another bullet for me. Let's say I wanted to add a step between step 2 and step 3. Okay, so if you look at, I'm trying to teach people how to make a peanut butter sandwich. So the first step, they're getting bread. Second step, they're getting a bottle of peanut butter. And then third step, they're applying the peanut butter. But I forgot to tell them to get a knife to spread the peanut butter. So what I'm going to do is, let's go back. And I'm going to add a step between step 2 and 3. So I'm going to add a new list item. And I'm going to say, find a knife to spread peanut butter. Yum, yum. All right, save. And now that I've saved this, let's refresh and watch what happens here. And you can see that this actually moved from 3 to 4 and everything else moved down a step. And it added it right there and renumbered everything for me. So that's what's kind of nice about this. Had I done this by hand and I added something, I would have had to manually go back and renumber things. Instead, the browser is actually doing all of this for me, which is nice. All right, so I want you guys to try that out. That was 7 and 8.